there was a quote that was said. You say the quote. Atlanta media don't have much going on. What was the proper quote? Because everybody blew up my phone about it.
Damn, I can't even remember anymore. But it was something like that. It was like, yeah, Atlanta might be kind of number one in the conversation about the most popular rappers coming out in the last 10 years, but we haven't necessarily seen the Atlanta media space get as big as New York or LA. And I did specify that I felt like you guys were basically like the biggest podcast out here.
Nah, it's nah, you're right. I don't think there's no diss or no shit though, because it really like man, you know the South always gonna be late to bloom on shit because it's, you know what I'm saying, when West
or not even necessarily late to bloom, but late to get the proper recognition.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like you look at this shit, niggas like Prince and P and Cash Money probably had to go through trying to be, you know, moguls from the South. It's like, come on, man.
Wait, I'm not even quoting it correctly because the real quote was there was another personality, Ray Daniels, who said that a No Jumper or a Vlad TV could not have been created in Atlanta because everybody in Atlanta has guns. And I think that's really what sparked the conversation. Because obviously we got to be like, hey, we got guns too. Hey, acknowledge us. Everybody got shooters.
What Ray say?
He said a No Jumper or a Vlad could not have been created in Atlanta because everybody has guns and there's too much of a street culture going on, which
y'all wouldn't be able to be outside.
No, this is
nigga wouldn't be able to be outside like that.
Yeah, let me speak to what Ray was saying, because Ray is my man, and I may be I'm this is my interpretation of what the gist of what he was saying is. Basically, it's like when it comes to Vlad and when it comes to like the No Jumpers, even like with the acts and, you know, like those types of shows, like they're similar platforms like us, but sometimes you guys are a lot more controversial and touch on a lot of things or have a lot more personal opinions when it comes to certain things. So when it comes to that, it's like Atlanta's a small place, no matter how big it seems. So for you to be able to move around comfortably, you're gonna run into somebody that you had an opinion about. Or you're gonna run into somebody that,
you're gonna have to do it. You're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, and it's gonna go down. Like it's gonna go up.
What you think about emotional ass LA though? You know that we feel entitled to everything. So the amount of threats that come through over there, and you know they play ball in LA too. So like the gun thing is like, man, everybody knows.
Everybody shooting everywhere though.
That's what I said. Yeah. They play ball everywhere. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
I guess Ray, this is my first time hearing any of this shit, just being 100. But I guess what Jade saying and what Ray probably saying was, yeah, it can't be nowhere. These niggas, I don't know, it's everywhere like that though. I don't know why. So y'all must not be offending niggas then.
But this is the thing is, if you really want to be a media personality who blows up, whether it's academics or Charleston White or whoever, it's like, you really got to be willing to offend people. And I will agree, Atlanta has an amazing community, hip-hop wise. Right. We saw that at that Drewski thing. Everybody coming together. There's so much love and respect, and it feels like everybody knows each other and shit. And I'll be honest with you, it's a way better vibe than damn near anything hip-hop oriented that you're going to hit up in LA.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the people really, like, it just seems like there's a good vibe in the air.
Just the
it's going to cash you out, basically.
Yeah.
But if you want to be an academic or a Charleston White, you have to be willing to fuck the vibe up. You got to be willing to like really say some shit. You got to say, hey, Young Thug might be the fucking coolest dude in the world and he might have the most power out here, but guess what? His new song, I don't like it. And here's why. Like if you really want to stand out as a media personality, and what I just said is not what Charleston White would say. Charleston White would, you know, say the worst fucking most offensive thing you could think of. And that's kind of like what gets him a consistent amount of attention constantly.
But do you feel like when you make that decision to the vibe up so that you can gain that notoriety, do you agree that it puts you in a box that limits your mobility?
Nah, you gotta be smart. Keep saying more and more.
No, what I'm saying is it puts you in a box that limits your mobility to the point where you can't just go to fucking Magic City on Monday.
Charleston outside.
Go to these.
But Charleston outside.
Big pepper
Charleston
spray.
is outside, but a lot of these other people are not.
No, I'm just saying, you gotta be a nigga like him. You gotta be a nigga like Charles.
You gotta stand on everything. I say all type of crazy shit. I'm gonna be outside too. You know what I'm saying? I don't be saying to the ones that I offend, You get what I'm saying? They definitely start first. And then you want to do this troll shit. I really just came out the streets. I know that I'm going to go farther than you with this troll shit. Leave me alone. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like it's no difference between the kids that's loading up on Instagram saying the same crazy shit, but they holding up guns, they saying all type of stuff, and they still coming outside. I think that they know that the controversy is kind of boosting them off into a certain place at a certain point.
But that's a big part of why Brick Baby is a great host on No Jumper and shit, is that, and why he consistently will say shit or have takes that go viral, is because he every week will say something that will make me just like, whoa, I can't believe he said that. Either because he's being so honest about how shit works in the streets, or he's saying something where it's clear that he's willing to offend people, whether it's people close to him or people who are like on the other side of shit. But I think that he's kind of taken that in and realized that if he wants to be something in the media space, he's going to have to be the guy who's willing to have a take that other people are scared to say. Like that. Like, I think with Charleston White, with academics, the reason why it works is because they say shit that people really agree with, even if it's abrasive. Now, if you're just a dickhead, that's the other side of it. You could just be a dickhead and like you might go viral and shit, but you're not gonna gain that like loving fan base if you're just an asshole on camera. Like, people have to be able to tell that you also mean the shit you're saying, you know?
Yeah.
Sure.
Have you ever had a moment where you just, it might have been a day later, a week later, a month later, we like, damn, I might have went too far. Like,
Oh yeah.
and you just, so how do you, because now it already came out, so it's already out there, it's in the universe. So at that point, how do you fix that? Have you ever had to apologize, make a personal conversation, shoot a DM, or you just standing on it?
Yeah, all of that. I don't want to stand on something if I don't really believe it, but I also, like, before I go on the podcast and talk about a topic, usually I give it some thought and think about like what my actual opinion is. And I feel like that's an important part of it, though. Like, if you're just constantly jumping out the window and saying shit you got to apologize for, then you might not really be cut out for this. You might need to work on your temperature.
Shitty, what you laughing at?
Because it's a lot of people that double back on what they say.
Yeah.
And it's like, it
That's why I
already
don't
came
say a lot
out.
of shit.
No, yeah. But learning in media, you gonna say some stuff on live where you like, dang, you could have kept that in a private conversation, or on one of these podcasts where it's like you get so comfortable that you might say something and it might really be that, but you intensifying it by putting it out there in the world, coming from just a gangster's perspective. You get what I'm saying? And that's where I learned, like, oh yeah, some of these conversations, I just gotta go light on the topic. Like, he already know what's happening. You know what I mean? But when you take off, now they want to see what the outcome of the situation is. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, and they'll sit there and troll both sides. Like, oh, you gonna slide? Oh, you said this about him.
Yeah.
Like, I just have my
Fans
opinion
keep it
on it.
going.
It's really be a peon. I ain't really mean it like that. You know
Yeah,
what
the
I mean?
fans keep that shit going, like,
Yeah.
stir it all the way up.
Yeah, for sure. But you gotta ignore it.
Yeah, because I think I'm gonna just give an example. Like, I had a situation. We were interviewing Candy, which is a dear friend of mine. I love her to death. I have the utmost respect for her. And she was talking about her in vitro fertilization process. So, I'm off the cuff. So I'm thinking like all kind of funny shit, jokes, whatever. So she said that she got her in vitro fertilization done and she had some eggs left over. So I said, what did you do with them? Did you fry them? Like, as a joke. But the people in the comments, like,
It's funny.
it was people in the comments that really thought that, like, I was serious. Like, oh my God, you're making a joke of women that can't have children and all that shit. And I would never do that. But it's like, sometimes it's people out there that don't understand or that want to make something bigger than what it is. And you have to just have the discernment to be able to know, like, what you mean and what you meant from the heart, and just leave it at that and not feed into that shit.
And if it was
like,
just you and your homegirl sitting at brunch and you made that
yeah,
joke,
it would have been.
and you know exactly like what her temperature is. You might not have made the same joke with your super religious friend who doesn't laugh at anything.
Exactly.
You probably wouldn't even have a friend like that. But like in general, like I see that all the time where Joe Budden had a clip that went viral where the girl on his podcast, Melissa Ford, she was talking about her period. And Joe goes, "You still get that?" Because she's a little older.
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny as fuck. People were really like, oh, that's age shaming. It's terrible. It's harassment. It's like, bro, if they're friends, like, I think that shit was funny as fuck. That's the exact kind of joke that I would love to I was jealous. I didn't think of that. That's a good joke.
Is the world just too sensitive? We say that all the time on Big Fat. Is the world just too sensitive?
Too sensitive because it's like now you just like an abortionist. Like you just
like, oh my
F
God,
them
like,
kids.
what
Like,
the fuck?
yeah,
Like,
those eggs are kids to
like,
the
how are you
people
a
that want
woman
to
and you're
complain.
saying things like that? I'm like, bro, it's a joke. Like, what the hell?
But
like,
you got to be willing to have those conversations that are gonna offend random people, and you have to be able to tell the difference between like important people in your industry being angry at you for a joke you made versus like getting 100.
But even if
comments.
it's the important people in the industry that are angry, if I'm being true to myself and this is really how I feel and really what I believe, and I know for a fact that I didn't mean any harm, I excuse you, important industry people, for offending you. But at the end of the day, like, I don't give a fuck.